You're live.
We're back live, Senate Transportation, and we are here with the Structures Program, and thank you very much. We're running a few minutes late.
Understood. So I'm Jim LaCroix. I'm the Structures Program Manager. Thanks for having me here today to talk about the FY27 budget. Quickly, we have, as you all know, we have three programs for the Structures Program: Interstate Bridge, State Highway Bridge, and Town Highway Bridge. And then if we had some time, I did want to talk about what we were doing in bridge maintenance, because it's a very critical aspect of keeping our assets in good condition, and we're doing great things there. So the total budget is 166.5 million, with 150 projects currently funded and 92 of those funded for construction. In that group of projects, there's also 35 permanent ER replacement projects for bridges due to the 23 and 24 flooding. That's a spending increase of 5.3 million from FY26. The first program that I'm going to discuss is the Interstate Bridge Program. That's tab 5B in the White Book. It's 51.3 million proposed for FY27. It's 5.7 million increase from FY26. There are 33 projects funded in the program. 21 of them funded for construction, and 9 of those are actually bridge maintenance projects. Here's just the trend of the funding in the Interstate Bridge Program over the last 15, 16 years. So I'll see that. The Interstate Bridge Program is funded through 90% federal and 10% state, and that is all TIP money for the state funds.
That's all TIP money.
That's all TIP money. Yeah.
So can I just to understand the TIP better, so the so that's revenue that is from the TIP, but it's not necessarily part of a bond, right?
Oh, correct.
Pay off. Right? Or,
It's just in that category
Yeah.
Yes.
right, was collected.
of revenue.
It was collected with the whole state tax.
Okay.
Some highlights from the program. You've all seen that we've been rehabbing the interstate bridges in Royalton for some time now. That's going to continue. We are proposing to replace the bridges at exit 1 in Brattleboro, but that is contingent on us getting a grant that we expected a NOFO back in August. We still haven't seen it. The expectation is that it's coming soon, so we're just waiting for that, but we're ready to apply for that grant. We think we have a decent shot of getting it. So
Has the Royalton project taken a month to discuss somewhere in Juju, is that district?
Yeah, amazing.
the Royalton, the interstate project.
Why did they take it? Like, it seems like it's.
I mean, it's a major rehab of a very large bridge, and so we gave the contractor 2 years for the rehabilitation on each individual bridge. So it's a 4-year project.
Each side.
Yeah, 2 years each side.
Maybe it's, what year are we in now?
We're going to be in year 3.
So this was already an existing project.
Correct.
I just thought maybe it was the representation of the district.
It's not
No.
my fault on this,
No,
and
it's
this
not.
is not the Foxcan Bridge. This is
Correct.
that Bridge 30.
Right. This is on the
Yeah,
interstate.
where the crane tipped over.
No, yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
The first,
We're light on its side for. quite a
Yeah.
while.
but that's Bridge, that's the other side is when yeah.
that was on the northbound bridge. Yeah, the very first year they were there. Then we have 9 bridge maintenance projects that's going to spend 5 million. We're replacing some deep culverts in Fairleigh. That's going to spend 5 million in FY27. We've got rehabilitation on 2 culverts in Linden. Going to spend 3.6 million.
Can I ask about the Fairleigh? Yep. So this isn't the one that has the beautiful mural underneath it. This is a separate project.
Correct. That project is already completed.
Okay, so they are gonna do the second mural then soon. or maybe I just haven't seen it yet.
I have a meeting about it in a week or so. I think they're proposing to, and I don't think we have any arguments with what they want to do. So I think it will happen.
Cool.
Yeah. We're gonna replace the decks on Bridge 34 North and South in Brookfield. Spend 3.5 million, 27. Springfield I-91 is one of the biggest projects that we've ever tackled. It's got 8 bridges associated with it. It is still in design. We're spending 2 million in design in FY27, and the plan is to move that to construction in FY28. It is right now our estimate is about $80 million for those 8 structures.
Just to note, I know that you are going to do something with the rail trail, and you've had a couple of either public hearings, or I know there's been some comments made, but you're still, if I'm understanding the process, I can confirm to constituents that they will still have full access to the trail during construction, although it will be moved. Like, you're not gonna have like a spot where you're suddenly not able to go and you have to get off the trail.
Well, you will have, the trail is going to be relocated.
But you'll still always be able to do it. There'll never be a point of time where you're stopped from continuing.
Correct, yes. The Williamstown, we're replacing some decks in Williamstown, spending 1.8 million in FY27. We've got a culvert rehab in Rockingham. That's going to be done in FY27, spend 1.1 million, and a deep culvert in Montpelier. Right out here, that's going to be rehabbed. That's going to spend 1 million. This is just showing you where we are for our condition rating and where we are projected to be with current funding levels as allocated. So everything previous to FY25, I guess 25 is current and accurate. We're at 7%. Beyond that, we're predicting based on what we're spending currently, where we will be over that period of time. And so we're still meeting the 8% threshold with current funding levels. Although we get relatively close to it, it looks like in 31 and 32. And it just sort of depends, you know, when we're constructing these projects, until they get officially inspected, they don't get transferred into the good condition. So we have to wait for that. And Royalton is one that's a big one that once that gets inspected, it will reduce these numbers a little bit. And that's why you see a pretty good drop here from, well, I guess not, but in 28, when that project's going to be complete and we have the inspection, we're anticipating that. And a bridge like that will drop at 1%. Right there, because it's about deck area and it's a very large area. So on 10G reports, these are projects that have been added to the program after the 20 slides. I'll just move through.
So the town of Rockingham has major concerns about a bridge that is being delayed for 4 years, and we don't even know. They don't even know officially yet that it is being delayed for 4 years. And I'm wondering if these took its place.
These are
These are all we're still on the interstate.
Still on the
bridge
interstate,
program.
okay.
I'm gonna have the town highway program.
The
Okay.
next one he's going to do is the state highway bridge. And this is it. So is your project a town?
It's a town
project?
highway.
It's a town,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, then he's got state. and
Got
then-
it. I will
Okay,
wait.
all right.
Thank you. Okay.
I do have a question about this list though.
Sure.
So Norwich,
Yes.
gosh, that has been a nightmare. That whole thing has been a nightmare getting onto the ramp there, because we set up on that bridge to get onto the exit. It became 1 lane traffic.
That's in Hartford, right?
No, it's Norwich. I mean, maybe it's technically, I'm pretty sure it's in Norwich, but it's that
You're
intersection.
talking about it's still 1 lane now. The rail got hit. And we do have a emergent need project to replace that rail
Oh, okay.
this spring.
Oh,
But that's not on here because, again, it was after the budget, the rail got hit. And so, but we do have an emergent need line item in the budget that will take care of something like that. So we had to close the lane of traffic there for safety reasons.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with I understand that part, but thank you.
Yep.
Didn't expect that answer. But that's a confirmed, it will be resolved. Okay. Well, I can tell my commuters, yay.
So, could you back up a piece? This is over to this.
This is just the interstate,
This is just the interstate. okay?
correct?
Thank you, because I can't really see it from here. And,
Okay.
and I open my book, so, okay.
Any other questions on this?
And you do have that chart for each.
Each program.
Okay, good.
Okay, these are projects that have increased by more than 8 million or more than, and I got something blocking my screen here.
They've increased by, in what period of time?
I gotta go back here. Where am I going? My screen is forward now.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Or more than, I can't read it, 75%.
75%.
75% compared to the 26 estimate. So
So,
the VM projects are projects that you're gonna see come up on this report quite often because they're maintenance projects. They're relatively small in scale, except when you get into maintaining a bridge, we seem to oftentimes find more that needs to get fixed than what was originally predicted, and the project just ends up costing a little bit more. And because it's such a small amount, it doesn't take much to meet that.
so are these all because you tore the bridge apart and you found something more than it? Or are these because we put bids out and the bids came in too high?
These two in particular were because there was additional work.
So Barnett and Springfield,
The St. Johnsbury and Barnett. I'll talk about Springfield a little bit because that's the project that I was referring to before, that our current estimate is $80 million, and that's increased, by more than 8 million because we've moved forward in design, and again, it's an $80 million project, and obviously we have inflation pressures, and so.
well, that was getting to what my question was. What are we seeing for inflation in these projects? Because we know that between 2021 and 2024 or so, the inflation was crazy. And we have heard with tariffs and everything else that's out there that it's affecting the price of steel. Are we experiencing that? What am I?
Absolutely, we are experiencing all of what you said, the pressures of that. We've done some analysis on this, and I'm happy to share what we've looked at, but between 2022 and 2025, we were looking at 60% increase so building the same project in 22 versus 25, was gonna cost you 60% more in 25 to build the same project.
As this committee tries to tell a story of what's going on in transportation, that becomes important to be able to highlight to people the pressures that we're under. Because in many respects, when someone else in the room talks about what our where the lines cross and our revenues to meet expenditures, it would be nice to be able to compare what your actual inflationary costs were versus what their estimates are.
That is something I can get you information on. Yeah.
Jeremy gives us estimates, and let's see if he's right.
Okay. Okay. Projects that were increased by more than 10 million, we don't have any, so there's none on this list. And then projects that were funded for construction in FY 26 that are no longer funded. The US 2 bridge over Richmond is fully complete and is no longer funded.
So does it need to be funded?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's completed. Just some before and after pictures of some work that we've done on the interstate. And I will move on to State Highway Bridge Program and start you off by updating you on Queechee Gorge. I mean, what a bridge.
What a-
And it will be for a while longer in construction, but not that long.
Okay.
So I think you can see that we anticipate having both lanes of traffic in place by August with, and you can see the current
Which is,
Yeah.
current price there.
I don't know what the name of the river is. Is it the Ottaquechee? I think it's Ottaquechee under it.
Yeah, we just always call it Queechee Gorge. So.
Yeah.
See how to Queechee, I think.
I would assume it's there.
And just, you can see the pedestrian rail that we've installed there is a safety component for that bridge, and it really came out nice.
It's beautiful.
So,
I just want to highlight, very appreciative of all the work you're doing. Also really appreciative of the specific people working there. I don't know who you have in particular, but I've seen a lot of just really well managed. Like I go by that minimum 5 times a week. And while the lights and the delays certainly irk people, I think you designed it in a really good way to make sure that there's as little traffic backup when there's actual construction happening. And it's clear that when people are working, they are working. There's always movement when you have the construction open for it. I had a constituent question that is tangentially related to this, but every year with the influx of tourists who come right around August, there was concern that the construction site had been taking up room that typically like charter buses have been using or families. Do you have any idea if you could relocate some of your construction equipment and site prep work it seems that you're doing to allow for more parking and access to the gorge during the summer months? Is that an option for you, or have you had conversations about that? Because it means people are parking very large buses in uncharacteristically in places they normally wouldn't be.
so contractually, the contractor will have to be there. I mean, we can
Okay.
certainly have the conversation. I think, like this is indicating, it's going to be down to cleanup work
Okay.
during fall foliage, and I think most of the big equipment should be out of there, so it should be less restrictive than it has been in the
Okay.
previous years. So.
And do you allow, I've also had questions about why we couldn't have installed, like, with all of the construction going on, why couldn't we have installed a public restroom during all of this at that site? I know you have the porta potties for people who work, and I've heard that people have been using them
Using
for
them.
the public. So if there is any way to, I don't know, that's a BGS question, I think, but it would be nice to talk about facilities in that location once this bridge project is complete, because I think we're seeing such a high level of traffic even now with the construction that once the bridge is complete, we're going to see even more visitors, and access to facilities would be a nice thing to consider. So
Isn't that private property though? That, are you talking on the other side of that bridge going east?
if you're going towards
Shopping area, oh,
yeah, if you're going
All the-
towards Woodstock.
Yeah.
There's parking on either side, and that's where they've set up a lot of their equipment, and there's some porta potties. If you're going back towards Hartford, there's a visitor center, which I believe the state and the Chamber of Commerce maintain. And has 1 or 2 facilities, which are typically extremely crowded. So people have been going to the Queechee Mall, the Cabot,
Right,
and
right.
they don't like that. Obviously. So it'd be nice to get some kind of facility up, and people have just been kind of using the porta potties that have been left out the construction site, so it's clearly a need.
I just want
Oh,
to know,
yeah, sure.
I'm sorry, how wide is that sidewalk? Cause it looks like a double use or?
Yeah, so the sidewalks were actually widened by 3 feet on both sides, which for a bridge that's been there as long as this one, I mean, it was a pretty amazing engineering feat that they got a design that could, you know, work with the supporting elements of the bridge itself. So, yeah, we're very happy about getting the additional width for pedestrians.
So are they 8 feet,
No, there's 6.
6 feet?
Yes,
Okay.
but they
From-
were
from the
very narrow
edge,
before.
Is it 6 feet usable space?
I'd have to go look at the details. That
Okay.
might be the
It's
total.
ADA compliant.
It is 88.
Yeah, it's just good to have as much as you can.
There, we got as much width out of that structure as we could have. So
That's great.
It's quite beautiful, the design
Yeah.
because, we had those issues with people that wanted to take themselves.
yeah, and it's a critical part of the design.
And,
So
and I know we've gone around the horn, up and down with ways to, make it safer. But it's quite beautiful what they designed.
So there won't be netting underneath it. That's my understanding. You're not doing the netting.
no. So, again, I wanted to highlight that bridge. It is an iconic structure and great that we're finishing that project. But State Highway Bridge 90 projects are funded, 55 for construction. That includes 29 ER projects from the flood events in 23 and 24, and 8 bridge maintenance projects.
So, and well, from a high level, because I looking at it, so when does a culvert become a bridge project?
So the structures program is responsible for existing culverts that are 6 feet in diameter or opening
6
feet or greater.
6 feet.
Now, Federal Highway doesn't define it as a bridge until 20 feet in length.
But in this book, it would be 6 feet.
In this book, if it's in the bridge program, it's 6 feet and greater.
If it's a culvert, it'd be a bridge. If it's 20 feet, even if it's just a culvert, it's still a bridge. Even if
If
it's
it's defined as a bridge per Federal Highway, even if it's a buried structure technically.
Chair, if I could, Jeremy Reed, Chief Engineer. Not every culvert over 6 feet is necessarily in the bridge program either. So there could be a project in the roadway program that is an existing 3-foot culvert that we're making an 8-foot or 10-foot culvert, and that could be in the roadway program.
Yeah, yeah. And what I was intending to say was existing culverts, if it gets into the program, if it's less than 6 feet, it goes to the roadway program. If it's greater than 6 feet, it goes to the structures program.
If
And
it's gonna be upgraded to more than 6 feet, it would show up in here.
it could still be in the roadway program.
It can still be in the roadway. What program it falls under is what the existing structure is. But we can take a 3-foot culvert, turn it into an 8-foot culvert. It'll show up in the roadway program, but now classified as a bridge.
Okay, so where would, I would still see it in the roadway and not in here?
Correct.
Okay. That's a little confusing.
Well, because when it gets into design, we don't know, we haven't done the
Well,
hydraulic
most of the
analysis.
time-
So,
Most of the time, what they did when they built these roads is they did too small of culverts and too small of open. And we are now, over time, for any number of reasons, some environmental, but and some just for flood mitigation are picking those up. So it's hard to tell where they land in the articles.
So within the roadway program, if you look at the white book, anything within STP CULV as a number, CULV, is an existing culvert less than 6 feet. But just given our current practices, I would say the majority of those will be in excess of 6 feet once completed.
So, for example, the third from the bottom on the first page is Elmore on Route 12. And it's one of those.
Yeah, I was talking about road program.
Well, I'm in the bridge program.
So that started at greater than 6 feet and will obviously continue to be greater than 6 feet.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, over this more than 4 million, more than 4.2 million that's a pretty expensive culvert.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was.
Here's how the state highway bridge program has been funded over time. Now, keep in mind, a lot of that additional money in 26 and 27 was caused by the flooding events and the permanent replacement projects for those structures.
And these are in what years, dollars?
They are in the year that the funding was given to us.
So, the 26, 27, you see a big jump from 24 to 27. How much of that is inflation?
Well, honestly, I'd have to go back and look to see what if I subtracted out the ER projects that traditionally, if we hadn't had these floods, we wouldn't be asking for, and see what those numbers were. But I think most of it's contributed to that and not really to inflation.
When we hear from the agency and we hear 40% inflation, if this isn't adjusted to a certain period of time, so we're comparing year after year, it's hard to know.
Yeah, we would have to, but I think Jim testified earlier that from 22 to 25, we saw 60% total inflation.
Yeah.
If you were interested in a different time period, we could probably go back and provide that for you. If you want, for instance, say
Or just
20,
adjust it to $2010.
Yeah, if Andy's right, if you just adjust it to a year, then I'm looking at years that are comparable.
Yeah, I'll make a note we can certainly show it that way in the future if that's more helpful. So,
Well, it is because I can't separate between the two of them.
Yeah, and I think both ways would be helpful.
Yeah.
Too.
okay.
And then if you're able to do it maybe in feet or some sort of geographical.
Right, I was thinking number of bridges, but
amount.
that doesn't help because they're
Because they're-
different sizes of cost.
Right.
We do a bunch of small ones. and
Right, make it look like a lot.
We could do a bunch on the interstate and we get the higher match and who knows?
But I'm more concerned, and I think it's important to know how it compares to the graph you go back to poor condition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm getting to that.
Are you?
yeah, he's
Yeah.
getting there.
Because we're a
That
little
basically
bit,
tells you what we
That-
want to know with the.
yeah, it tells me where we're headed too.
Yeah.
Are we keeping up or not?
Yeah.
Did it again. So this is just a funding breakdown. You can see there's a few more categories for state funded projects. We got 2.9 million or so in the T fund, 7.3 million. The interdepartment, that's the transfer for the flood money. So that's the state funds associated with the ER projects. And then you can see there's some local share, and that's mostly for utility type work that's non-participating. And then 6.1 million in the tip. Some highlights, we've got 29 permanent ER projects that I talked about that are going to spend 38.4 million in FY27. We're replacing bridge on Route 100 in Reedsboro that's going to spend 10.5 million. This will be the second year of construction for that project. 8 bridge maintenance projects to spend 5.3 million. We're still working on the Worcester and Elmore projects. This is hopefully the last year of construction, we believe, and it's
So this book has 4.2 for the culvert in Elmore. Where is that?
it's on 12, but I don't know exactly.
Yeah, do you know which one it is?
off the top of my head, no.
Is it one right there by Lake Elmwood?
We can get to that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be helpful because 4.2 of that maybe the other three are 900,000, so.
well, this is just what we're spending it, we plan on spending in FY 27, so that project's already under construction.
Okay. Well, it says FY 27 governors recommend, and I'm in the line item, and it says for 27, 4.2, so. I'm, just trying to change.
Maybe it was around an issue. Oh, 5. Well, I don't know if they're labeled separately, Jeremy, or
There will be a lead pin.
Okay.
So if there's bundled projects, so the 5.1 is probably for all four, and the lead project maybe in Elmore, that is 4 point something itself.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
I know we don't have anyone from Orange County in this committee, but the Topsom Bridge. What is the detour that folks are gonna have to do while that bridge is down? That's, if I'm looking at the right bridge, that's a pretty important bridge in that community. I think you basically, if you were going on, you'd have to go back on Route 25 and it's a 17-mile detour.
I can certainly provide that information to you. I don't have it offhand. We will definitely have a detour package in the plans already, so I can certainly share that with you.
Okay, I just know that if you're gonna be sending people around that area, that bridge, people usually, you'd have to go on a class 3 or 4 road in some instances to make up the. I don't know,
Okay.
I feel if I'm looking at the correct bridge, 23, you're gonna have some community pushback, if you haven't already.
Well, I mean, we've already done outreach and have an agreement with them. So
Okay, so you feel that has been, because I know there was a detour for a while up there that I'd heard about that was causing some consternation. So we might want to connect with our colleague, Senator Benson, to see if he has any thoughts on it.
okay, and I will share what the detour plan is.
Thank you.
And while you're at that, didn't we at one time legislate a maximum detour that could happen before you did a bridge like that and closed it completely? Isn't there something in statute that gives a maximum time or a distance? And I recall doing that years ago, and it was mainly about emergency vehicles and stuff and people, moving people. Does that ring a bell?
Not to me, but
Okay.
Smart idea though. Thank you.
It says in here, realign channels. Does that mean you're getting in the river?
yes.
That's Greenfield.
What, record? There's
So that at the bridge on Route 2 that we had significant scour issues with and had to close it for a short amount of time to mitigate that.
You're gonna
event.
get back into the river or
We are gonna get back into the river and do some channel reconfiguring and get it more heavily armored, so we don't have that issue happen again.
Can't armor your way out of it, is my view, but you really should just have, allow it to go, because it seems like you armor it as such that it's not gonna go to that floodplain anymore.
Yeah,
That's
well,
my view, but
I can just say that it's currently in design and we have some national hydraulics experts from consultants looking at that particular design.
you're
how
gonna
we
try to
might-
change the curve because it may takes a bend there. And
Right.
you're gonna try to soften that.
I'm not sure exactly what they are proposing currently, but I know it is in design and I can share details that we have if you're interested in that.
I'd save the money for when the cliff up road from there is gonna fall in and people fall into the river. That's the part we're worried about. And then,
It'll be FEMA money.
I don't know if it's FEMA, if it's just
FEMA.
lonely or roads.
And then the last 4 projects there were projects that were added with the that we're proposing to add with the additional
So it's just
state funds.
just
So you're adding those, so that's funding that you weren't, that was not in the budget before?
Correct.
this
State highways.
state highway. You're on page 95.
Yeah, did you say Chester? What's going on?
So here's what the graph looks like for poor condition bridges on the state system. You can see that we're doing pretty well, really. Currently at 3%. So well below our goals. And then with current funding levels, we are projecting that to go up in the future.
Hate to see that.
Mhm.
And the four go up. They have the four.
Yeah, I mean, we were there at one time.
Yep.
We did
We were high.
we were really high.
You can see 2008, we were at 16%.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes. We were hot.
and it took Channel 3 News and the Transportation Committee on a bus to crawl under bridges.
Oh, we
go
crawled
underneath of
Were you
them.
there when I got Sue Minter under the bridge in Rutland?
Well, yeah,
That was-
clarified, yeah, we were all there.
It was not good.
You paid the troll.
Yeah, it was bad.
We got the editorial board as a paper.
So I think the point is, we came a long
We've
way,
come a long way. Yeah.
not to drift back that way, because it's really hard to get. To get it
It's
back.
really hard to, you have to have, a great recession and federal money and Irene to get stuff picked up.
Mhm.
And I will say, I do think the leadership that has shown that you've all shown around bridges staying stable away from raising up to that very poor amount. When I look and compare this to the paving lines that we're seeing, it was a big relief at the beginning of the year when we were showing how low those get. So that I know takes a lot of work.
Appreciate that. Thank you. 10G reports, these projects have been programmed since FY26. So the culverts in Rochester on Vermont 73 were identified as an emergent need line item.
There's your Plainfield project.
This is a project that have increased by more than 8 million or by more than 75% compared to the FY26 estimate. Bridgewater, we actually had to change the scope of that project because we did a more recent inspection and we determined that it just can't be rehabilitated, so it needs to be completely replaced. And then the two BM projects, again, they had additional findings when they got out to the bridge and they just found more work that needed to be done. And then projects that have increased by more than 10 million or more than 100% compared to the preliminary plan estimate. All of these projects have the same thing in common. They all had a preliminary plan estimate well before all of this inflation happened, and then went to construction after. And they're big projects, and that's why they're in here. So
Seems to be all in the south.
Yeah, where the water is. A lot of storms. Oh, actually, the whole state has had a lot of storms.
In the book, the interdepartmental transfer, that's most likely gonna be funds like FEMA or ER funds. Could it be?
well, I don't think it's FEMA because it's federal highway money. It's federal highway ER program.
Yeah.
And the fund transfer is just interdepartment because and maybe Jeremy knows where the flood money comes from a state perspective.
So that's AOA, under Doug Burnham, providing us a state match for the federal highway ER funds.
So it's always gonna be ER funds.
Yes.
Okay.
I know, I see our green light blinking, so I just had one question about the Springfield project.
We're going to have him,
Oh.
we're gonna break off
Oh,
here
right.
and have him back if you wanna ask your last question. And because tomorrow we gotta make sure that we get out there early because we're gonna have to.
We're good.
I think we're on notice today.
We are,
Yeah,
and you're up on like 4 different, you've got a lot of reports you have to do for this.
So
Tomorrow.
So I'm through the state highway budget, so I can come back whenever you guys want to do the town highway. I know there's gonna be a lot of questions around the town highway
We'll,
program, so.
we'll have Megan, reschedule to you to come in. If you
Yeah.
want to ask her,
So for the Springfield project, I know when you did the Hartford project, there was a lot of night work that was done. And that was greatly appreciated by the community because it meant it wasn't causing traffic delays during the day. What is the plan for night work versus daytime work at this location? And would you consider, if you haven't already, doing some nighttime work?
So that project, that Springfield project is on the interstate.
Yeah.
We're gonna have crossovers in place to switch traffic over to the other barrel. If it was beneficial to V-Trans, like we could get some cost savings by reducing construction time, I'm sure we will allow the contractor to work at night. We haven't necessarily discussed that with the contractor yet, and we do have a contractor on board. That is, that project is a CMGC project where we bring in the contractor prior or during the design phase to help develop, you know, what a schedule will look like, if there's efficiencies with the plans that they can see by sequencing work a certain way. And then what happens is we go through a very explicit federal highway cost reconciliation process where we have an independent cost estimator. The agency does an estimate, the contractor does an estimate, and then we come together and agree on a final price. So that's how that Springfield project is coming together. And so again, if there was benefit to the agency with reducing construction times or costs for them working at night, then we would certainly entertain that.
Okay. Well, it would be a benefit to the people if we could reduce the amount of traffic that's gonna be caused, because that's a heavy commute area right there. People, it just during 2 times during the day and when school gets out.
Understood.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. And